And welcome back to the Financially Simple Experience. So friends, we're still on our journey for the 8-figure exit. It is possible. I want you to hear me on that. You can, as a business owner, have an 8-figure exit. You can, as a owner of a registered investment advisor, a firm, a financial firm, you can have an 8-figure exit. It is possible. So many have done it. Why not us? So just perhaps you're not a financial advisory firm owner, the concepts we're going to talk about today are directly applicable to you and your business. But we're on this journey specifically dealing with financial advisors because so many financial advisors reach out to me. And I want to speak directly to my peers, directly to people who are in the same seat that I have been in for almost 20 years. I want you to learn some knowledge from me, not because I know it all, but because, as I said last episode, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. 30 years now I've been a business owner, and I've consulted hundreds, if not thousands, of business owners over my 30 years on how they can drastically improve their business. So let's talk today about inspiring your leadership team to make way for the 8-figure exit. How do you do it? You've got to decentralize. You, as the business owner, have to remove your hands from everything within the company. You have to create departments. You have to have heads of those departments. The larger your company gets, the more that you have to trust. You have to decentralize. You have to reduce company-specific risk. Your leadership team has to constantly be vigilant at reducing company-specific risk. And in one of my favorite books, Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, is paramount. We have to have ownership at the senior management level, at the leadership team level. There has to be extreme ownership. We talk about teamwork. We talk about teamwork within the leadership team. But how are we as owners impacting our employees? How are we as the CEO? Impacting our employees? Is it about us? Do we jump in and micromanage? Not too long ago, I was dealing with a special project where I got a group of people together at an offsite event, began pushing this particular project forward within a short time frame, had it where it was concluded. And then my direct supervisor jumped in and set us back for 45 days. Micromanagement. Oh, it ticked me off. I was beyond frustrated. It ticked me off. What it did was the opposite of the study from Neuroscience of Trust. They published a study in the Harvard Business Review in 2017 that talked about companies with senior management at a high trust level, where people trust each other. 74% reported less stress, 76% reported more engagement, 50% reported more productivity, 40% had less burnout, and so many other factors, all of which are directly driven by the CEO. Or by the president, depending on your titles within your company, or by the board, or by you, the sole owner of the company. So let's talk about today how we're going to motivate our leaders and employees for that matter. How are we going to motivate them so that we, as business owners, can experience the 8-figure exit? We perhaps have seen the old fable of the carrot on a stick. Or take your mind back to the Aesop's fables, where you had a donkey and there was somebody holding a stick out in front of the donkey, and from the stick dangled a carrot on a string, and they would hold the carrot ever just so out of reach of the donkey's snout. What it illustrates is there are rewards and there are penalties. However, we have to know how to motivate our team. Instead of playing on their fears, the stick, let's play on their desires. Where do they want to be? What is it that they want to achieve? I illustrate this in my own head as I'm talking through this about something I've seen here in East Tennessee. There's a particular tourist attraction up in Pigeon Forge, not too far from my house, that's called Dolly Parton Stampede. Used to be called Dixie Stampede. Now it's Dolly Parton Stampede for politically correct reasons. Nonetheless, just thought you might want to know that. Nonetheless, what happens is it's an arena, like a rodeo arena, and you sit around and eat, and you have you cheer for one side versus the other. And in this stampede, individuals will come out literally riding the horse that's pulling perhaps a carriage. They're on the horse versus Maybe in your mind's eye, go back and maybe you've seen a movie where you had a Roman soldier sitting on a chariot, the Roman charioteer. And what they would do is they would be whipping and driving the horses in front of them. Now take that in terms of leadership. The type of leader that I want to be is the one who's up on the horse riding with the team. I want to be up front of them. I want to be the one who's leading the charge. I don't want to be the one in the back just cracking the whip nonstop. So we can motivate our team through a carrot or a stick. I would challenge you to use the carrot. Another thing we can do to motivate our team is reduction of micromanagement. Oh my goodness, micromanagement. Now, it's a term that's often tossed around. Anytime you hold somebody accountable, oh, you're micromanaging me. Let's define our term here, crystal clear, okay? Micromanagement is this, as defined by the dictionary, is to control every part, however so small, of an activity. That is micromanagement. Micromanagement is not questioning. Micromanagement is not accountability. It's trying to control every single part, no matter how small, of a process. That's micromanagement. If you're a director of marketing is micromanaging their team, then they aren't allowing them to use the authority and responsibility that they need to drive marketing. Author Harry Chambers wrote in his book, My Way or the Highway, a micromanagement survival guide, and he said, quote, 79% of respondents had experienced micromanagement. 71% said it interfered with their job performance. 69% say they considered changing jobs due to micromanagement. Now, notice they didn't change jobs. They considered it. Again, from a business owner's mindset, oftentimes somebody being held accountable or somebody questioning the thoroughness of their decision will often say you're micromanaging me, and that's just simply not the case. So as a business owner, I get it. But nonetheless, oftentimes perception is reality. There's another issue, and that is accountability. Accountability. We can hold our team members accountable. Roger Connors, CEO of Partners in Leadership, made this statement, which I thought was profound. He said, and I quote, "There's a crisis of accountability in organizations today, a crisis of epidemic proportions. When properly approached, accountability can really be the low-hanging fruit for optimizing organizational performance and accelerating organizational change efforts." Accountability. So one of the mechanisms that I love to use whenever we're talking about management is responsibility, accountability, and authority. I teach this to our business owner clients. Let's define our terms. According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, responsibility is a state of having a job or a duty dealing with and taking care of something or someone. You have responsibility to do something. Accountability is being required to explain actions or decisions to someone. And authority is the power to give orders or make decisions, the power or right to direct or control someone or something. That's authority. It's not a dictatorial system. It is somebody has to be the final yes or no. Somebody has to be able to ask probing questions. You see, leaders can build trust within their teams by delegating the authority to make decisions surrounding areas of responsibilities. Perhaps you want a marketing plan. Well, you can delegate and give somebody the authority to draft a marketing plan. Now, if that individual has proven themselves time and time and time again, you may say, hey, I need a marketing plan and please implement, without you even having to bother looking at it. But that's, again, earned. So let's talk about 7 ways. Let's talk about 7 ways that you can implement responsibility, accountability, and authority amongst your leaders. It can be done, and you can drastically influence your exit. The first is to create a culture of accountability, responsibility, and authority. The culture of accountability is a culture where people are intrinsically motivated to the results and their actions and the outcomes of their goals. They are intrinsically motivated. That is a culture of accountability. While your leaders may be great at their respective roles, let me ask you the question, do they exhibit the traits of authority, responsibility, and accountability amongst their teams? Think about your RIA. Think about your financial firm. You've got somebody within your firm that you've divvied out some measure of accountability, responsibility, authority. Do they handle it properly? If not, let's work on our culture within the company. Another way you can do is you can create a safe environment. Accountability requires trust. Creating a safe environment doesn't mean that people can't fail, but when they do, they don't feel threatened. Just because you mess up doesn't mean you're going to get fired. That's not the goal here. The goal is for each to learn to become stronger and mesh into a team. It's a safe environment for us to work. Another way you can create accountability is for you personally as the business owner or the CEO or the president to be accountable to your team. Hey, look, as a leader, I have made one mistake. Actually, I made hundreds, thousands. I probably made some today already. I'm just lunchtime today. As a leader, we make mistakes. It's important for us to display vulnerability, letting your team know that they can be vulnerable. We're going to make mistakes. That's okay. Let's keep our eyes on the vision, the mission ahead. Fourth, we're going to set clear expectations. You don't just ask your salespeople to do more sales. Hey, you go out and sell more. How many times have we said that? No. Or your marketing department, bring more leads. No. If the expectations are not clear, then you can't hold anyone accountable. What's the old saying? Without responsibility, there is no accountability. So instead of saying, hey, go out and create more sales, hey team, based on the data points, in the past, we've been averaging 7.2% of growth in our sales department. I'd really like to see us hit 8%. So I'm going to hold you accountable to move up to the 8% number. There's a measurable outcome. Then you hand off and allow them to do the job. Another thing you can do, number 5, is to conduct regular review meetings, regular meetings. Now, this may be monthly, it may be weekly, it may be quarterly, depending on the cadence of your particular company. But I have this firm belief, and I've said it here before, that when we wake up in the morning, we as a society, we as a race, as a species, we don't wake up saying, hey, I'm only going to do something halfway today. That's not who we are. We wake up and we really want to do the best that we know how to do. Well, whenever you conduct regular review meetings, you're allowing somebody the opportunity to see your point of view on what they're doing. They may disagree, and that's fine. There's an authority measurement here. But you at least give them the ability to correct or move in the direction you desire. Number 6 is you empower people. Allow people to take initiative on their own and reward behavior when you see it. Give them authority to handle responsibilities in the best way that suits their skill set. And finally, number 7, create psychological ownership. Psychological ownership. If you're the owner of a financial planning firm, I challenge you to read The Ensemble Practice by Philip Pavlove. He's the CEO of the Ensemble Practice, LLC. It's an interesting book. It talks about how to move from I to we, and it gives you the roadmap to do so. He is an industry consultant and expert for those of us in the financial world. One of the things he outlines is creating a sense of psychological ownership when it comes to an advisory firm is a complex, it's a difficult task, but it comes with some critical preconditions. You have to move your team to where they have psychological ownership. Now, whenever I had my own practice and I was the CEO, the goal is to enforce the values that we were trying to achieve every single week. Every single Monday morning, we talked about the values and how we're going to display those this week. It's the only way I knew how to accomplish it. Perhaps your company is disjointed. Perhaps it's the size where getting everybody together for a 30-minute meeting every single week is just not powerful enough. It's just not there. Maybe you need to go with a video address. It's a way that you can move people into the direction you desire. If you can excel in getting people to think like owners, then there's an interesting phenomenon that happens. It's called the endowment effect. And where it is when people start feeling like owners, they have this emotional bias that causes individuals to value an owned object higher, often irrationally, than its market value. Now, there's a pro and a con here. Oftentimes, we as business owners, we look at our business as our baby. I see this happen ever so often, actually all the time, if you want to know the truth, where we have this endowment effect within our business, and we view what we've created as a value of X. Hey, this isn't an 8-figure exit, man. This is a 9-figure exit. Oh, really? What's the open market say? So we have this endowment effect. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get our business, our employees to have this effect on their mind that, hey, this business, not their product, not their division, not their kingdom or their fiefdom within the business, but this business is very valuable. We're going to protect this thing. See, you're trying to create a psychological ownership within your team. That's what you're trying to do. So how do you do it? Finnish management scientist Annette Talonen said there's 3 pathways to create psychological ownership. Number 1 is give them control over a specific area for a prolonged period of time. You're in control of this. That's number 1. Number 2, help them generate intimate knowledge of their area of responsibilities. The way I describe this, if we're pulling out of business world, is whenever I go hunting in the Rockies, I love hunting in the Rockies. It's really just a desolate place. You'd never see hardly anybody other than maybe another hunter every once in a while, but you're in the middle of nowhere. First time I went hunting, I hired a guide, and this guide knew every trail. I would never have found that. I had to spend decades out there, as this individual did, to know exactly where the game was going to be on the trail. You want your team members to have that intimate level of knowledge. And then finally, you want to provide your team opportunities to invest personal resources in certain areas. Perhaps, just perhaps, you allow your team members to buy into your companies, buy stock in your company. There's an old proverb that says, where your money is, your heart is. Where your money is, your heart is. Friends, there's a trickle-down effect that happens. Here's what happens as we empower, as we create authority, accountability, and responsibility within our company. There's a study done in 2020 by the Emerald Insights Foundation, and they said, and I quote, "The empowering leadership of higher level leaders promotes the empowering leadership of lower level leaders." That seems pretty rational. Which indirectly improves the task performance of employees. It often finds that performance pressure perceived by lower level leaders moderates in relationship between the empowering leadership of higher and lower level leaders, thus moderating the proposed indirect effect. What are they saying? Look, it's a trickle-down effect. If you get your leaders, your executive team, your leadership team to accept accountability, responsibility, and authority, and then they in turn teach their reports, then there becomes a output. There becomes a perceived output within the company that becomes efficient. Why does it matter? Why does it matter? Because we're trying to have our 8-figure exit. Harvard Business Review did a survey, and they found that 55% of executives say that they believe it is impossible to provide a great customer experience without providing a great employee experience. 55%. Friends, if you're going to have the 8-figure exit, you're going to have to decentralize. You're going to have to de-risk. You're going to have to use authority, accountability, and responsibility in your team. You're going to have to empower your team to take you further than you can by yourself. This is hard. It's hard. One of my coaches that I hired years ago challenged me with this. That's when I first heard it, and they pushed me. I'm a control freak. I want to control everything. It's the way God made me. I'm so far greater than I was 20 years ago. I'm at the point now where I'm learning to trust people and I often get let down. But I'm trying to trust so that we can drive our company's value to far greater than I ever dreamt it was possible. You could do the same. If you need help, hey, reach out to us. This is what we do day in, day out. Check out financiallysimple.com. Lots of information for you as a business owner. Lots of information for you as a financial advisor. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Till next time, friends, y'all go out and make it a great day.